Well, we're back for part 4 of the 4.7 liter HO engine rebuild on a Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Mitsubishi. Several people run this same or very similar motor. When we left, I was sending the block off. Sent the block off, or I turned the block in, I think, Monday, and it's now Thursday. Got the block back today. We were hoping we could just hone this thing and not bore it over, and that's what happened. They honed and crosshatched all the pistons. They checked the crank. They checked the one piston that had been impacted to make sure that it didn't have a bent rod or a crooked rod, and it was fine. So they mic'd it. Everything's in spec. So we're good to rebuild this thing, and we're going to rebuild it with stock pistons. We're going to rebuild it with stock bearings, and so there you go. I was waiting on this positive response on the block before I took the heads in, so I just took the heads in today. Hopefully they'll be done by Monday next week, and then we'll get our parts to put this thing together. Also, after I got a good report on the block today, I went ahead and ordered the new pistons, wrist pins, wrist pin clips, rings, journal bearings, main bearings. I also ordered a new oil pump, which may or may not be necessary, but with this level of rebuild, I don't see why in the world I wouldn't go ahead and replace the oil pump. This motor had about 120,000 miles on it, and soon to be a brand new motor, more or less, and so that's we'll make it as new as we can reasonably afford. So we're going to. I spent part of the evening cleaning up these gasket surfaces a little better than they were. They're certainly not polished, but the areas where the actual gasket impacts, touches the block and touches the heads, that area is the main focus. Also here on the front, I cleaned up this timing chain cover gasket surface, and then also on the bottom of the block and here on the bed plate, we've cleaned up all the gasket surfaces there. So from that perspective, we're ready to go back together. Also been doing some cleanup of miscellaneous parts and painting. Oil pans cleaned up, the valve covers cleaned up, exhaust headers are cleaned up, and I'm going to start priming some of those things. I'm going to paint the motor. I think we'll wait till I get it, get the heads on, get the valve covers on, get the oil pan on before I worry about painting it. I'll do a little bit of rust cleanup here on this on the block. They boiled the block and cleaned it up that way, but that doesn't do a lot for the surface rust, so I'll probably get in there and do a little cleanup on that before I prime, and then we'll paint the whole thing. So progress is being made. One thing I did do today also was, let me turn the motor here a little bit. I did put new freeze plugs in it. 8 freeze plugs in this little wonder. Very easy to get out. Just use a screwdriver to put the screwdriver here, tap it, plug rolls forward, grab it with some channel lock type adjustable pliers, and you just pull them out. In this case, I took one person's advice and I used some of this wonderful gasket shellac to then lubricate and seal the reinstall of the plugs. That stuff is about as nasty as they come as far as making a mess, so be real careful with it. I don't think it wants to come off of things nearly as easy as it wants to go on. They're all slightly recessed. That's how they were before they were taken out, so I put them back in the same position. So we're getting there. Just a little more time on parts, getting those heads fixed up and get them back. And I'm hoping next week that we're serious about rebuilding, putting this thing back together, and maybe pushing to say that we could start worrying about reinstalling it. But maybe that weekend we can finish rebuilding it and then look toward getting it installed the week after. So maybe a little vacation time involved in that, just so I can focus. Anyway, check back again, and part 5 we'll start putting this thing back together in earnest. Talk to you later.